Welcome to Conversational Currency Live. This is the special edition of the fastest growing platform dedicated to the value of social skills for business in a digital era, told through the stories of today's business and thought leaders. Now, I am your host, your moderator, your narrator, the Lord of LinkedIn, the Sultan of Skype, Shadi Chewy Laser. But today, we are taking place a valuable promotion known as the Independence Day giveaway. And we're going behind the scenes to meet the experts who are contributing the gifts that our veterans are using to start their first or next business. So welcome to the experts panel. Ladies, starting with Elizabeth and going to Michelle, to Susie and Leslie, please introduce yourself and just tell us a bit about your primary genius and what genius you bring to the world.
Well, Shadid, thank you for having me on. I'm a story coach, and I help people use their personal stories in their business. I also help them write their story, whether it's in a memoir or a mission memoir. But I see my genius as being able to bring out those stories from people, because sometimes people will want to write about, their business or their life, and they have doubts. And they think like, oh, well, who would be interested? Or, or they think that I don't have enough to fill in like a whole book. Maybe it's just like a little story. But I just love speaking to them and, one-on-one and just asking them questions. And by the end of it, it's like, wow, I'm so amazing is what they say about themselves. So it's a real joy to be able to do that.
Michelle.
Hi, thanks for having me. I love to connect with you and your tribes. My name is Michelle Copper, and I'm a voice, video, and visibility expert, known as the Transformational Message Mentor. So I really love to help people who feel called to do something big for them, to make an impact, to make a difference, to find the words and own their voice and their face and their energetic presence online, on stage, and on camera.
Susie.
Thank you, Shadid. I am Susie Vine. I am a stress resolution coach and holistic practitioner. And so my mission really is to help people transform their relationship with stress by resolving the stress that they don't have to be carrying on the physical, emotional, and environmental levels. But primarily, especially right now in these difficult times, shifting our mindset about stress so that we can be more empowered and see it as an opportunity to rise and thrive, and not see it as something that that makes our life more of a challenge. So happy to be here. Thank you.
Okay. And Leslie.
Hello, community. I am so grateful to be here as well with all of the tribes, all of these virtual communities. And I am a freedom living coach and worldwide mindfulness teacher. I would say my ZOG, or zone of genius, for those that don't know ZOG, would definitely be teaching. I am a natural born teacher, and I would say my gift is igniting fires, really calling people forward into living their fullest and best, most adventurous life that's truest to them. Really waking them up from the cloud that they have found themselves in with the stress, picking up everything that's going on, weighing themselves down, attempting to fit inside this American dream. And I mean, how perfect is this conversation while a lot of the people tuning in are going to be in transition right now? Like at this fork in the road, I've done what my parents wanted me to do. I've done what society told me to do. I've checked all the boxes to the American dream. And I really empower people to learn how to navigate the world of the unknown in transitions and create a life of adventure they love, whatever that looks like to them.
Now, let's get into the discussion. Now, this scenario, for our veterans, we have a situation where we have some people who are on active duty. And I remember the last 6 months of active duty where it was like the movie Groundhog Day, where I would wake up and I with being a dreamer, I realized like, okay, you know, I really wanted to transition and get into entrepreneurship and what I felt I was called to do. Checked all the boxes. I was early promote sailor and honorable discharge, did everything right, but there was a greater path for me. So this question is for Elizabeth and for Susie. What was the moment where you felt you were called to do what you do?
Wow, that is such a good question. I think the moment probably went back to when I was in university, and I'd been a writer my whole life, and I didn't actually think of myself as a writer though until one of my professors said, you know, you should go into creative writing, and it really just confirmed my decision to actually leave the militia, because I was in the reserves and I worked full time on Class B call out for 7 years, and I was at a fork in the road, and I thought, okay, I should either go into the regular force and you know, tick all those boxes with a pension and a better pay and everything, or go to university. And so I chose university, and it just confirmed, like, you know, the sort of that artistic yearning was confirmed when I went there, and then here I am helping people with their stories.
Excellent. Susie?
Forgive me if there's a little bit of background noise. I'm in the San Diego area, so we're kind of a playground for helicopters and some heavy equipment, so forgive that. I am, you know, there's a great TED Talk by someone who describes herself as a multi-potentialite, and I definitely fit that category. I've had a series of different careers, but before I made this last redirect, I was working primarily with the senior population. So most of my clients were in their 80s and 90s, and I was helping them downsize and move out of their family homes. And the reasons that they had to move were typically because of health issues, more often than not, chronic health issues. And in most cases, those could be tracked back to even decades earlier. And selfishly, I recognize that I want to have more options when I get to that point in my life. I want to have the choice to be as active and to have the lifestyle that I want. And I know that that applies to the rest of my generation. And Generation X now are kind of the sandwich generation. So we're in between, you know, raising the kids and getting them out of the house and taking care now of our parents as their health starts, you know, issues start to add up. And we're recognizing that stress is such a major component in giving rise to chronic disease, that's where I really decided was the point of conversation that we need to be having right now in order to shift, to kind of course correct so that we can get to where we want. You know, little changes now add up to a big difference down the road. So that just lit a fire in me.
Excellent, excellent. Now, Michelle and Leslie, when entrepreneurship is one of these scenarios where there's a lot that can go crazy, but when it goes right, there's no better feeling in the world. And right now, there are individuals who are waiting to experience that feeling. They can picture it. As soon as I said it, they have that picture. Starting with you, Michelle, what would you say is can you describe the feeling of when things are going right in your business and articulate that for our veterans who are seeking to experience that feeling? Same question for you, Leslie.
Oh my goodness. I feel like I'm on a game show and getting like, which question am I going to get? It's so exciting. When things are going right, it doesn't feel like going to work, right? It doesn't feel like obligation and I gotta do, and I gotta figure it out, and I gotta put all the pieces together, and I gotta do it right, and I gotta do it, you know, follow all there's no boxes to check, right? When things are going right for me, I'm in the flow, I'm making money, I'm helping a ton of people, and most of my day is spent doing the stuff that I just love to do. I actually get energy from that rather than feeling like I'm spending energy. So that's a short answer. I'll share.
So beautiful. And I'll bounce right off of that, because as soon as that question was asked, it fuels me. And ultimately, what it looks like, what it feels like is complete and utter soul alignment. I am walking in my purpose. I feel it in every cell of my body, where it's not, should I be doing this? Should I not? Should I have not walked away from all the schooling I went through to do something completely different? It is a knowing that it doesn't need a belief of right or wrong. It's so deep in your body. It's a knowing that you were put on this planet for this purpose, to be of service. For, like, just in this panel alone, we have so many different channels and people and avenues. However, it's so true. I mean, I already feel like I know each and every one of you on this panel just because of what you do. And so ultimately, it's the truest soul alignment. And ultimately, it fuels our lives. It feels like expansion, forward movement, excitement, passion, versus being weighed down, the have tos, the shoulds, the supposed tos, and feeling drained. So I feel fired up and in my purpose.
Now, for
Can I
those-
double dip? Can I
Yes.
double dip a little tiny thing?
Mhm.
For me too, there's a whole bunch of the confidence piece, and the is aligned with this. When I'm in the zone and I'm doing it and it's all going well, it's required a surrender for me, and that surrender and trusting that it doesn't matter what I do, I'm doing the right thing. And so for me, with that trust has also come this sense of confidence. I got out of the debate about, is this the right thing to do? Is it going to work out for me? And I spent a long time as a creative professional since I was 17, doubting whether, like, waiting for my effort to pay off and to prove itself. So for me, that feeling of being in the flow and really being what I would say resigning from the debating society and trusting it has given incredible confidence and freedom, not just in business, but in how I move through the world and how I parent and how I stand in line at the grocery store. Which I don't do very often now because
yes, my visual, the best visual I can give to this feeling. I have this moment, and so I'm in a convertible, and I'm on the highway, and I'm driving into downtown. I want you to picture your downtown. For me, it's a few skylines that stand out to me the best. One is Star City in Sydney, Australia, but I'm going to use Baltimore, Maryland, because this actually happened. And so I'm driving in, and the skyline is there, and it's a convertible, and it's raining. But here's the thing: if you drive fast enough in a convertible, you don't get wet. So although there's so many things going on in entrepreneurship, when it goes right, you just feel untouchable. It's just the best feeling in the world. And Elizabeth, now, when I was on active duty, now, one thing about me is I've had a journal since I was 16 years old. And when I lived on a ship, I lived on a boat, active duty in the Navy. And when we go out on deployments, the ability to write and connect with words was something that helped me develop my thoughts a lot during that time, because it was a very introspective time. And for many, it could be self-destructive because there's work and there's not much mental health resources. So writing was one way to kind of cope. And so being that you have a special connection with words, and there are veterans who are somewhere under a tent, somewhere on a boat, somewhere deployed and writing, can you please describe what the power of words mean to you?
Oh, yeah. The power of words. I really think that everybody needs to journal. Everybody needs to express and take those thoughts out of their head and put them onto the page, because it's only then that you can really see what you're thinking and processing. You know, up until then, especially when it's stressful environment, you know, all the thoughts are kind of running around, jumbled up in there, and all you really feel in a stressful situation is the fear of the thing, you know. And so, but when you exteriorize it and you put it on the page, it's more manageable, you know, and you can see what the reality is, and then you can make a decision about, okay, so this is how I'm feeling, what can I do differently, you know. And obviously you made decisions that were better suited to your health than maybe others of your you know, colleagues, but the other thing too is that the process of writing can actually help you figure out what you believe in and where you want to go. And, and it's a step-by-step thing, but for me, it's just so transformative. And the other thing is that it actually boosts your immune system. When you get a handle on things and you write it down, it makes you feel good. And there are actual studies that show that writing about your feelings and your thoughts and your dreams can actually have a physical beneficial effect.
Excellent perspective. Now, Michelle, when we talk about visibility and connecting with the camera, many people don't realize that many celebrities were on active duty. Everyone from MC Hammer to Shaggy to Ice-T from New York Undercover, all were on active duty, all were veterans. And so when it comes to connecting with the camera, especially with video, what makes video so special in terms of locking in and sharing your message from your perspective?
Well, you see, especially now, and it's been, I think, true for a long time, but people buy from people they know, people they like, and people they trust, right? So people buy from people who they resonate with. And video, the sound of the human voice and our DNA, we're trained to survive by resonating with voice and face. And so it cannot be overstated, the power of your energetic presence through your voice and your face and your expression and your words and your enthusiasm and your personality and your bloopers and your flub ups and all of it make you you. And it gives people a chance to know you. And that is the most powerful asset I think we have in our business, especially building something online. And the vulnerability of going live, I think, is especially powerful because people know that it's live and it makes it more forgiving. But we have an opportunity to connect and resonate through not just the words that we're saying, but the tone and the vibration and sensation of our voice and our energetic presence as we say it. So that's the other thing that I think is really important to know that not everybody knows is that the brain processes moving sound and images differently than written sound or still images, or written sound, written words or text, or still images. So just in the fact that we're moving and using the voice, the brain makes associations with how you feel. So a couple of my favorite quotes about my muses, Ralph Waldo Emerson says, who you are speaks so loudly, I can't hear what you're saying. And when we're being visible and we're marketing a business, especially when we're marketing ourselves, which feels very vulnerable and weird for most of us, myself included, we can just show up with all of who we are, it's incredibly powerful. So who you are speaks so clearly, I can't hear what you're saying, is a quote from Emerson. And then Maya Angelou, of course, says, people remember how you make them feel. So video is the most powerful tool that I think we have. And if you ever watched Ice-T's show or any other TV show that's been on for seasons, even I find myself watching shows that aren't maybe the top quality because I want to find out what happened to the people, right? So we feel if our brain sees a voice, hears a voice, sees a face enough times in a row, our brain says, we know that person, they are safe. So it's a very powerful tool.
Excellent perspective. Now, Susie, when it comes to active duty and when it comes to military, high stress is a dominant factor, presence, entity within the lives of many active duty service members, and with the transition where there's various factors with stress and just transitioning into a new environment that is completely foreign to us. Can you tell us, when it comes to stress, why is stress so toxic to the spirit, to the progress of an individual?
Yes, that's a really great question. And it's interesting how science is sort of catching up with older traditions and with things that we've just seen be powerful throughout our eras, through human development. way that our outside world influences us and the way that we respond to it is such a powerful force. And so the more that we can tune in and find center within ourselves, the more we have a foundation with which we can handle whatever is coming at us. And so there are some different ways that we can develop tools to help come back to center, but it's so important to recognize that our perception is 9/10 of stress. And so if we feel like we're always under attack, if we feel, if we start to dread the experience of stress, then our body meets it immediately with that really basic reflexive reaction of stress, and the cortisol and stress hormones start flooding our system. And so what we're recognizing with neuroplasticity is that we can change our perception and we can become more resilient, and we can recognize that stress is something that we can have a different relationship. We can be the master of stress. We're not limited to fight, flight, or freeze anymore. We can come from that basic part of our brain, from the amygdala, and move forward into our thought process, and we can choose our response. The trick is to practice that when we're not in the heat of the moment. You can't meditate when you're face to face in a confrontation. You can't develop these skills when you're in the thick of it, because that's when your brain is going on autopilot. So the more you can incorporate practices to find more balance and to become more resilient to stress, the more you can practice pausing and recognizing your reaction and your response. Is it to this situation that you're in right now? Is it pulling back from something in your history, something that you haven't had the time or ability to deal with? At that point of curiosity gives us a lot more power in the moment to respond. So we can really empower ourselves, and it takes some doing. It takes some, coming back to the table and committing to changing our relationship with stress.
I could not think of a better person to transition into this next question. And so what Susie alluded to was some ways that you can kind of catch yourself in the moment, Leslie. And here's the thing. I first found out what PTSD was 6 years after suffering from it. So I was already in the storm. I didn't know what it was. And so what used to happen was that I would wake up with the feeling of the refrigerator on my chest. And I literally had to go to the local track, and I would walk until I felt better, until my brain felt clear. And this went on for years. I figured that there had to be a better way to deal with this. And so that's where I found Bikram yoga, or hot yoga to be exact, years ago. And that was where finding my breath was the first, let's say, mention of it. Can you share with us, Leslie, what breath work means in terms of mindfulness and just the power of it overall, especially for people who are high strung, stressful, in dealing with all sorts of conflicting emotions and anger and things that they may not realize exist?
I love it. And as soon as Susie was sharing, I was like, yes, I want to add, like, girl, we can team up. Yes, because we don't develop this resilience in the heat of the moment. We develop this resilience ultimately becoming the masters of our life on the back end, on all the other moments of our life. And so what I always ask people, or what I like to presence, is most of us, we wouldn't leave our house without putting on some deodorant or brushing our teeth. Maybe we would, but most of us probably wouldn't. And actually, I've traveled the world, and America specifically, our culture on the external cleanliness, it's off the charts. But what I like to ask and what I like to presence is, what are you doing before you leave the house for your mental health, for your emotional health, we don't even talk about this, your energetic health. And it's when we start actually laying out our day and inventorying where we're spending our time, most often you're going to find very little to zero time spent cleansing the insides, cleansing the mind. And so it's very important that we can empower ourselves with go-to tools, practices, resources. I like to call them anchor points, so that when we find ourselves going completely into the storm, there's an anchor that's holding it. We still might flop around in the ocean a little bit, but we're not going to go too far, and we have something, we have home base to return to. And so to bounce off what Susie shared, I mean, I could share so many reasons from woo-woo to science why breath work is so effective. But since we're kind of rolling with this science theme, what I will say is breath work is extremely powerful in activating the vagus nerve. This is the largest nerve in our body. And this nerve is directly in correlation with regulating everything: metabolism, sleep, temperature, stress, chemical reactions, your heart rate, your breath. And we talked about already fight or flight. By taking on a breathwork practice, not only are we clearing the mind, we're stabilizing the nervous system. So when we're experiencing anxiety, I feel like that term is thrown around a lot. Ultimately, anxiety is energy attempting to be in motion. It's just that we have not refined our nervous systems through the tools, through the practices, to handle this very intense and sometimes immediate, startling energy. And so as we sit in meditation, as we do breath work, as we take on these mindset practices, we are literally increasing our capacity to handle more, to hold more, to be in the storm. And maybe we're rocking a little bit, but we're not going too far. We are in our power. And by taking on breath work, not only are we stabilizing the nervous system, but we're also activating the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the peace, which is the rest, which is the digest. But what I so often see, and I've been there myself, is we go to sit down and meditate and we're like, okay, it's not working. My mind's going crazy. I mean, it's even louder. We must realize and give ourselves the adequate time, not even that it takes lengths and lengths and lengths of time, but give ourselves a few moments to really allow that deregulation and that de-exciting to happen. Because we've probably spent 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years doing it the other way. Like Susie said, we just go back to the autopilot. And so the power of the breath acts as an anchor. And finally, what I'll share here that most people don't realize, we talk a lot about gut health, and yes, that is hugely important. But what people don't realize is how detoxifying the lungs actually are. And I have a background in ICU, specifically trauma and intensive care nursing, where I worked with patients that were on a ventilator. So I was literally controlling a machine to take deeper breaths, basically what I now externally guide, I used to kind of internally do. And it was so fascinating over and over and over to watch, okay, when I increase the breath, now we're releasing more gases. And something that's really popularly talked about right now is acidosis. I'm going to go alkaline myself, drink some alkaline water. And yes, that's a very true concept. But simply by drinking alkaline water, we're not going to alkaline our body. Whereas when we take a deep breath, when we really fully breathe properly, we are releasing over 70% of toxic gases and waste. That's even more so than within our gut. And so that's exactly why, I mean, even if we all just for 1 minute sat right here and took a deep breath, I mean, it instantly presences, slows you down, and feels a deeper release than if we're sitting here barely breathing, barely releasing, holding on.
Yes, that is actually one subtle, let's say, body language detail that most veterans have, but
Yes.
don't realize when we have to keep in step or walk with a cadence. it actually, you can, in whether you're having conversations and someone may be high strung, you can kind of get everyone regulate temperatures with that skill. It's something that I realized over the years. Now, for those of you who are just pressing play, we are here at the Independence Day Giveaway Experts Panel. Now, please, starting with Elizabeth to Michelle to Susie to Leslie, please tell us about your gift and where we can find more about your work.
All right. Well, I just have to say that all the talk of breath has made me consciously do breathing while I'm here, and I love the reminder. It's so important for us to do that every day. So I appreciate that. Now, my gift is For Your Inner Writer. It's a 30-day program, a video program. It's self-paced, and it helps people establish a writing practice. And so, if you're in transition, whether it's from the military into entrepreneurship, or there's a shift in your life from one place to the next, and you've thought about writing, and this is a really great time to develop the practice, because it isn't just like, okay, I'm going to write in my journal. It's figuring out where you're going to write. It's figuring out how much time do I have, and where's my sacred space that I am going to be doing this writing, where I put up a sign that says "Do not disturb," and how do you protect that space? Because it's not just creative writing or fiction. It's also, writing to create your next phase of your life. And so this program can be really transformative in helping you figure out, the story that you're going to be walking into in the next phase of your life. Oh, and where you can find out more about me is ownyourcreativity.com.
Yes, Michelle.
I donated. I'm giving away the FAST video formula because it can be so intimidating. One of my secret sauces is to help people heal their blocks and fears around being seen and heard. And I hear again and again, I know I should be using video, but I don't know what to say. So it's a lovely, rich, step-by-step template for you to figure out what to say so that you can go use this powerful tool to reach and serve many, many people. I think that it starts with some basic marketing approach so that we can know how to engage attention, and really it begins to teach you, I think, how to find content in your life walking around, right? How to take everything that's happening to you and how to start to find, the language of your clients so that you can take that thing that you do and make it feel real, authentic, organic, natural to you, but also start learning how to say it in a way that makes people go, wait, now what? I want to find out more about that. So that's what we're sharing today. And you can find me at michellekopper.com. And I am pretty active on Facebook at the Inspired Voice Business and Performance Coaching, where we also breathe. So I loved hearing about the breath as well as a singer, incredibly transformational. So that's where you can find me. And I'm always happy to support and help. Lots of interviews over there too.
Susie.
So what I have shared is 8 stress-reducing tips for busy leaders and entrepreneurs. It's just kind of the foundation. It's kind of a sampler platter. We've got, the 3 foundations of health, eat, sleep, and move more freely. Other tips that are really going to help you, as we've all been saying, build a foundation for resilience, for success, and that's what really carries you through. So I've got the tips. It comes in ebook along with the video. There's also a link on the page, so please don't miss the opportunity. I'm offering free 30 minutes, and of course, time permitting, if the conversation continues, I'm happy to do so, to talk with you about where stress might be coming in and some tools that might really help you with where you are and how you'd like to move forward. And then And so that's the gifts that I have available. And you can find more information about me on 3xlessstress.com. That's my website. And on Facebook, same name on my page, and Live with Less Stress is the group. So building a conversation there in a community where we can all come together and connect and shift our perspective together.
Leslie.
All right. I have Create Your Day for Freedom daily practice. This is literally your starting point. So I often hear people are like, I know I need to meditate. I know I need to do breath work. I know I want to be more start intention setting, but I literally don't know what to do or where to start or how that looks or what to do. And so this is a 3-part video. So there is audio, breath work, and meditation. There is the framework to create your day for freedom, where I break down each step that you'll be doing every morning. And then there's a morning guide PDF that walks you through the step-by-step where you're going to be setting your intentions. You're going to be setting your daily commitments. You're going to be checking in what's in alignment with my day, what's not in alignment, and sharing gratitude and acknowledgement and starting your day that way. And so you can find more. So I believe you will be providing the links for that gift. So please download that. And I'd love to hear, you'll even see in the download, it says to tag, because I love seeing people taking on these practices and what intentions they set as they start feeling more free from the inside out. And you can find more about me at American Wanderlove, Wander with an A. So American Wander, WANDER love.com. And then you can also come hang out with me on Instagram at the Leslie Medley. So the Leslie, LESLIE MEDLEY. And I'd love to hang, and I love chatting and answering any questions. If this conversation resonated, please reach out. I mean, all of us would love to continue these conversations and support you during this transition, because I think we all in some way or another work with people who are in transition. So we really get that. Thank you.
Veterans, friends, family, colleagues, you have been on a journey that, if you paid attention, there's a common thread that goes throughout each of the gifts and talents and abilities and remedies that these ladies, these experts, have shared. Now, this is only a small sampling, a powerful sampling, but just a small sampling of the gifts, the talents, the solutions that are available within the first annual Independence Day giveaway. Now, the giveaway itself is a personal holiday of mine that is actually today. It's August 27th was the day that I transitioned from active duty into the world of entrepreneurship. I will tell you, it's one of the scariest things I've ever done. There's a lot of uncertainty, but it's just like driving a convertible, going into downtown in the rain. When it all comes together, there's no better feeling. And I, along with my friends, my partners, want to give you that convertible. So the keys to the convertible are at the link that is in the description. Is mrshadid.com/Independence Day giveaway. But the link will be in the description for you to test drive your convertible. We can't promise that it'll rain, but we'll give you the card to help you navigate through the potholes, the ups and downs of entrepreneurship. Unlimited email support throughout the giveaway, meaning if you have questions, we have answers, and I'm here to support every one of the gifts provided in the giveaway. So on behalf of our esteemed panel of experts, I'm Shadidi Laser, and you could have been anywhere in the world, but guess what? You're here with us. And for that, we appreciate you. Thank you for tuning into the Experts Panel. Have a powerful and productive evening.
Mm-hmm.